Hello everyone, welcome to another video. It's another GT Sport Daily C strategy guide. We are heading to Spa-Francorchamps circuit in Belgium in Group 3 cars, and we are going to be racing in the wet for this one. As you can see, the tyre selection here is the heavy wet. Tyre wear at times 7, fuel at times 5, Group 3 as I said, and we have 7 laps to negotiate of the circuit. Now, one thing we don't know at this moment in time, as we know it's going to be a wet race, we just don't know in what type of wet conditions. If you've ever watched my GT Sport wet weather analysis video, you will know that when wet conditions are added to a track, there is 3 different variations. So we have what we have here on the screen, which is the heaviest wet conditions. Very much requires the full wet tyre, or the heavy wet tyre as it's called in this one. This is the conditions that I suspect will be the ones used for the race tomorrow. Very tough conditions to drive in. It took me a good 20 minutes to actually get some kind of representative lap in round this track. Just kept spinning. Quite often I would just spin coming out the chicane. My source was tricky. The top of Eau Rouge and through Radion, the car likes to get away from you. So extremely tricky track to negotiate in the full wet conditions in a Group 3 car. Not surprising when you're trying to put 550 brake horsepower down through the rear tyres. So the car we are going to do our testing in for this track is the BMW M6. Not a car I'm overly familiar with, and being an FR car, probably not best suited to the wet conditions. The MR cars like the Audi, the Ferrari, the Citroen, the Peugeot, the RCZ, tend to be a lot better suited to the wet conditions. But I've decided to use the BMW for this, and there is a sort of another reason for using this car that I will talk about a little bit later in the video. So you can see just how hard it is to get the power down, get the car through that really slow chicane. Car really bogging down. But we actually put in what was my best lap that I managed to sort of do in those full wet conditions in this car, a 248.7. So moving on, we are in the other full wet conditions. This is set at 8:30 in the evening. Quite definitely still requires the full wet tyre, although the intermediates do kind of work. They are a bit slower. So the full wet tyre is quicker in these conditions. Much more forgiving than the conditions set at 11 o'clock, which are the heaviest wet. Much easier to catch the car if it starts to get away from you, and much easier to get the power down. Considerably more grip, and to be honest with you, a lot more fun to drive. So as we come across the line, it's a 245.9, so a full 3 seconds quicker than the heaviest wet conditions, and that was my first flying lap on those conditions, so certainly a lot more lap time to come. Moving on to the third option of having a wet track. This is the intermediate conditions. These are set at, I think it's 6:15 in the morning. So some lovely lighting in these conditions. Game looks superb when you're driving around in the intermediate conditions at Spa. We've already done a flying lap there. It's a 2 minutes 40.7, so 5 seconds quicker than the previous wet conditions, and nearly 9 seconds quicker than the heaviest wet conditions. And again, first flying lap out the box, so definitely more time to come from that one. You can see the optimal actually sitting at 239.9. So that is the 3 types of wet condition that we have could be racing on tomorrow. I think it will be the first conditions we looked at. These are set at 11 o'clock in cloudy weather. So I have, when doing my testing, decided to use those conditions to sort of test out lap times, tyre wear, fuel consumption and pit stops. Now the last time we raced around Spa in a daily race was just as the track became available. On that occasion it was a Group 3 race but in the dry. We had 8 laps to do. I can't remember what the tyre wear set was for that one. I don't think it was particularly high. I think it might have been at times 8. But the fuel was also set at times 5 for that one, as we have for this race. On that occasion it was very much a no-stopper, with some considerable fuel saving thrown in. Was the quickest way to negotiate the track. So with only 7 laps to do in this race, and generally lapping and driving a lot slower, the fuel should last for the whole race. But even so, it will require a little bit of fuel saving, I think, for some cars. I did touch on one of the reasons why I chose the BMW. It's a particularly bad car on fuel in my experience. So I wanted to just, if the BMW could get around 7 laps without refueling, then I was quite confident that most of the Group 3 cars could as well. A little bit of short shifting required to get the BMW around. Even at this point here, as we come towards the end of lap 3, we're just a little bit down on fuel. But nothing that we couldn't kind of redress over the remaining 4 laps if required. On this occasion though, we are going to pit at the end of lap 4 just to get an idea of the pit loss. Now if you look up at the top left hand of the screen, we are, I think that's just coming up for 14 seconds ahead of second place as we come into the pits. So we're going to take on a new set of wet tyres, and we're going to take a splash and dash of fuel on just to get to the end of the race comfortably. You can see that was quite a long delay from entering the pit lane until the car got to the pit box. So we already know we're losing quite a lot of time here in the pits. And as we come out of the pit lane, we take a look behind us and second place is right there. And probably if that had been a human controlled car, we would have been overtaken there because they've had so much overspeed on us in the run down to Radion and Eau Rouge. So the pit loss is substantial. We've lost the best part of 14 seconds there to an AI car. And with only 3 laps remaining and on fresh tyres and not having the fuel save, you just can't really see that being possible to make up. But we'll jump forward and see if the new tyres were actually worth anything with the lighter fuel load. And the answer to that is no, they weren't. We make a mistake on lap 6, so which is very easy to do obviously in these conditions. Very easy to run wide or get a slide on, or just all sorts of corners that can catch out in this track. But lap 7 is a little bit better. I think we were purple through the second sector, so could we set our fastest lap on our last lap here? Absolutely crawling through that chicane. We do not do that very well at all. Car bogs down, actually tries to stall, I think. But that last lap was a 2:48.9, so the new tyres just not worth the lap timers. There's no way of making up that 14 seconds we lost in the pits. So this one is looking very much like a no-stopper. A little bit of fuel saving possibly required, but given the conditions, the thing that's going to stand you in the biggest stead and be most important about getting a good result is just to keep it on the island, keep it between the white lines, keep it on the grey stuff. If you can get 7 reasonably clean laps in without spinning or anything like that, then I can see you getting a reasonable good result just through that alone. As I alluded to before, these conditions are absolutely brutal to drive in. Initially when I set out, I actually thought there was something wrong with my car. I had so little grip, but it just turned out I had to just get used to the conditions and persevere. And if you find yourself really struggling as you start out qualifying or doing some practice races for this one, I can only advise you just to persevere. It will come to you. You will start to understand how the car behaves in these wet conditions and get quicker. So in conclusion, it's a no-stopper. It's a bit of a fuel saver probably, but nowhere near to the extent that we had to do it in the dry race, where it was very much conserve fuel from the off. A little bit of short shifting, just keep an eye on it. I think even if you're a little bit short with a couple of laps to go, you should be able to just change your driving still just a little bit over the last couple of laps to bring it back in line. So that's my thoughts for this one. As we discussed at the beginning of the video, there is 3 different wet conditions. The strategy doesn't really change depending on what it is. The pit stop strategy really only had its best chance of working in these slowest conditions, just because it means that the time between the pit exit and the pit entrance and the pit exit, the cars would be going slower at that part of the track, negotiating the chicane and the source. So that was the best opportunity for the pit stop to work, but even in these conditions it's still a no stopper. Okay, I shall leave you with that there. Thank you very much for watching. I didn't really want to be the sort of guy who was asking for people to hit that like button, but I'm reliably informed that getting likes on your videos is the best way to try and promote your videos in the algorithm. So if you could be so kind as to hit that like button if you are liking what I'm doing with these videos, then I would be very much appreciated. But again, thanks very much for watching. We shall have, I'm going to actually try and get the Group 2 Nations race that's on this week. I'm going to try and get a strategy guide in for that one, just because it looks like a really interesting race. So hopefully I shall see you for that one. Good luck in your races if you're going to compete in this daily race C. And maybe I shall see you on the track. So look out for Fraggle Commander or Womble Leader. They are both my accounts. And you know, if you're racing with me, it should be good fun and clean. So again, good luck in your races, and thanks very much again for watching. Goodbye now.